Hello students, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, that's Akifa's Commerce Classes. So in today's session, we'll be discussing multiple choice questions on the chapter Business Environment. Okay, so this chapter, it comprises of 7 marks. So let's begin. The first question is, which of the following is not a part of the business environment of business? Okay, and the options that are available are customers, suppliers, competitors, and none of the above. So before we answer this question, it is important for us to know what you mean by business environment. Okay, so business environment, it means total of all the individuals, all the institutions, and all the other forces that are outside the control of a business. Okay, so something that cannot be controlled by a business, but it has an effect on the performance of the company. So this is business environment. The economic, the social, the political, and the technological forces which are operating outside the business enterprise are a part of the environment. Okay, so as an individual or as an enterprise, it is not possible for any business to survive in the market in isolation. So the individual consumers or the competing enterprises as well as the government or the competitors, etc., they work outside an enterprise and they are a part of the environment. So the important point that we have to consider here is that these individuals or institutions are likely to have an influence on the performance of the business. Even though they are outside the boundaries of the company, still there is an impact on the performance of the company. So here the right answer is D, that is none of the above. Okay, why? Because all the above elements are a part of business environment. Okay, and the question is asking which of the following is not a part. So here the answer is none of the above. It means customers, suppliers, and competitors. So here all of the above elements are a part of business enterprise of an element. Moving on to the second one, which of the following is not a component of specific forces of business environment? The options that are given are technological conditions, customers, employees, and investors. Now students, we should know that there are two forces. One is specific and one is general. So business environment, it includes two forces, specific and general. Now let's see what the specific forces comprises of. The specific forces comprises of the investors, the customers, competitors, and the suppliers. Okay, and these specific forces, they affect the enterprises directly and immediately. Moving on to general forces. Now general forces comprises of social, political, legal, and technological conditions. Okay, and they have an impact on the business and they may affect the individual firm indirectly. So specific forces affect directly and general forces affect indirectly. Okay, so here it's asked which of the following is not a component of specific forces. So here our right answer is A, that is technological condition. Why A? Because it is a component of general forces, okay, and not specific forces. Moving on to the next question. The growing awareness about healthcare has led to an increase in the demand for healthcare products and services in the country. So identify the feature of business environment that has been described in the above case. The options are dynamic in nature, uncertainty, relativity, and interrelatedness. Okay. First of all, let's read the question again. It says that the growing awareness about healthcare. Okay. One side it says that there is an awareness about healthcare. Okay, on the other side it's saying that because of this awareness there is an increase in the demand of healthcare products and services. Okay, so we have to identify which of the feature is being used here. So here the right answer is interrelatedness. Okay, why? Because this is one of the feature of business environment and different elements or part of business environment are very closely related to each other. Like for example, the increased life expectancy of people and increased awareness for healthcare have increased the demand for many healthcare products and services. Okay, and services like soft drinks or fat-free cooking oil and health resorts too. Now here what happens is that just because people are more aware about the health issues that are prevailing, now people are being more cautious about it, and just because now they are being more cautious, therefore now they are demanding those products which are good for their health. Like for example, they want fat-free cooking oil, they want beverages with less sugar in it, and so on. So here there is a interrelation between awareness about health and about healthcare products. Okay. Next is, since more number of people have become beauty and health conscious, our economy has witnessed an unprecedented surge in the number of health and beauty spas and wellness clinics. Related feature of business environment being described here is, so here also the answer is interrelatedness, because here on one side it says that people are being health conscious and beauty conscious, and on the other side it's saying that there is an increase in the number of health and beauty spas and wellness clinics. So here the feature that has been used is interrelatedness. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Twinkle Stars is a well-known resort for organizing parties, especially for children. However, in the last 6 months, its popularity has been considerably reduced as a new resort with better ambience and facilities has opened within its vicinity. Name the related feature of business environment which has influenced the business of Twinkle Stars adversely. So this question says that there is a resort named Twinkle Stars, and this Twinkle Stars resort, they were very specialized in organizing parties, especially for children. But in the last few months, that is in the past 6 months, its popularity has been reduced to some extent. And why it has been reduced? It's because a new resort with a better ambience and better facilities has been opened in that area. Okay. So now we need to identify which feature of business environment has influenced the business of Twinkle Stars. So here the right answer is B, that is dynamic nature. First, let's know what do you mean by dynamic nature. So dynamic means changing. So business environment is dynamic in that it keeps on changing, whether in terms of technological improvement, or maybe if there is a shift in the customer's preference, or maybe if there is a new entry, or maybe if there is a new competition in the market. Okay. So it means that the situations in which you had opened your restaurant, your resort or your cafe, it may not always be favorable. For example, if I am starting my resort today, maybe for next 2 years I do not have any competition. But maybe after 2 years, somebody may start their own cafe in and around my area and with much better ambience than mine. So it's pretty obvious that maybe most of my customers would switch to the other cafe because it has better ambience and maybe the prices are also cheaper as compared to mine. So here what happens is that we have to remember that business environment is something that is not constant but something that goes on changing. Okay. So here the answer is dynamic. Moving on to the next one. Any kind of external devices like compact disc, that is CD for computer, they have become obsolete. So Google with its Google Drive service, Apple with its iCloud offering, enables the users to store documents, photos, music and movie on web-based servers. So identify the feature of business environment being described in the above lines. So first of all, this question says that earlier we used to use CDs or CDs for the computers. Okay. So wherein we would store all our data on the CDs. Now what happened is Google is providing us with Google Drive service. Apple is providing us iCloud offering. So here what happens is that now this use of CD has become complete obsolete. It means it is something that we used in the past, but at present we do not make use of the CDs. So which feature of business environment is being described in this particular example? So here the answer is C, that is uncertainty. Why? Because the business environment is very uncertain, as it is very difficult to predict the future happenings. Okay. Especially when the environment changes are taking place too frequently, especially in case of fashion industries or maybe IT sector, because you can only make a forecast about the changes that can take place, but there is no surety that you will be right or there will be 100% accuracy in your predictions. Okay. So there may be uncertainty sometimes. So here in this question number 6, the answer is uncertainty. Let's start with our question number 7, that is, in today's world, the flow of goods and services not only cheap and fast but also reliable and secure. You can order anything you wish to from any part of the world. Internet has been connecting people without any limitations or boundaries. In the way of doing business, identify the concept being described in the above lines. So here the right answer is globalization. What do you mean by globalization? So it is a process through which different ideas, knowledge, information, people or even goods and services can move from one country to another. Okay. So this is globalization. Like for example, yoga is considered to be an Indian tradition, okay, which was earlier only confined within the geographical boundaries of India. But today it is widely practiced worldwide for physical and mental well-being. Another example of this could be that if we see grocery chains like Walmart and so on, now they have their own branches across all different nations. Okay, so first we did not have Walmart in India. Now slowly we can see that we have so many supermarkets or mega stores opening their branches in different parts of the world. Okay, Next example of this could also be KFC or McDonald's, which we did not see earlier. But now we can see that KFC or McDonald's or even Domino's, they have started opening their chains into different countries. So this is an example of globalization. It means you can sit at one place and order anything from the rest of the world. So this is about globalization. So here the right answer is B. So let's start with question number 8. Under the Reserve Bank keeps control on the money supply in order to achieve the objectives of general economic policy. So the options that are given are fiscal policy, monetary policy, trade policy and industrial policy. So the right answer for question number 8 is monetary policy. So let's learn about what is a monetary policy. Okay. So first of all, the monetary policy is laid down by the central bank, that is the RBI. Okay. So this monetary policy, it involves the management of money supply and interest rate, and is the demand side economic policy used by the government of a country to achieve objectives like inflation, growth, liquidity and so on. So in India, a monetary policy of the RBI, it aims at managing the quantity of money in order to meet the requirements of the different sectors of the economy and in order to increase the economic growth. Now the next question is that how does the RBI implement the monetary policy? So the RBI implements the monetary policy through its various instruments like bank rate policy, reserve system, open market operations and so on. Okay. So whenever the RBI uses any of these instruments, it leads to changes in the interest rate or maybe change in the money supply in the economy. So increasing money supply and reducing interest rate, it indicates that it is an expansionary policy. So monetary policy, it has two natures, you can say. One is expansionary, second is contractionary. So what is expansionary? When the money supply is increased and the interest rate is reduced, it is known as expansionary. And when the money supply is decreased and the interest rate is increased, it is known as contractionary monetary policy. So moving on to the next question. The income and expenditure policy of the government is which of the following? So here the right answer is fiscal policy. Okay. So students, we should know the difference between a fiscal policy and monetary policy. Okay. So monetary policy is by the RBI, the central bank, and fiscal policy is the policy by the government. So this fiscal policy, it provides a guiding force that helps the government in deciding about how much money the government should spend in order to support the economic activities and how much revenue it should earn from the system in order to see to it that the economy is running very smoothly. So the government basically uses both monetary as well as fiscal policy to see to it that the economic objectives of a country are achieved. Okay. So here the right answer is fiscal policy. So next is, in all the other countries there is a flow of goods and services. Under which of the following does it come? So here the answer is globalization, because we have already discussed that globalization allows you to move freely from one country to another. Next is, which of the following deals with the process of simplification of import and export? The question basically asks that which of the following deals with the process of simplification of import and export. Okay. First of all, here the answer is liberalization. And why? Because liberalization was introduced in order to liberalize the Indian business and the industries from all necessary control and restrictions. Okay. So the basic objective of liberalization was to liberate the Indian business and industries from the different restrictions that were there. For example, the liberalization was basically introduced to abolish the licensing requirement in most of the industries. Then it was started in order to remove the restrictions on the movement of goods and services from one place to another, or to give the freedom in fixing the prices for the goods and services, or to reduce the tax, or to simplify the procedures for imports and exports and so on. So whenever you get a question on liberalization, whenever you get a question on the simplification of import or export, or removal of restrictions in import and export, or maybe even fixing the prices on exports, then you should know that it is liberalization. Okay. Liberalization was introduced with the aim of liberalizing the Indian business industries from all necessary controls and restrictions. Okay. So here the right answer is liberalization. Next is privatization of ownership through sale of equity share is called which of the following? Disinvestment, demonetization, contracting and none of the options. Here the right answer is disinvestment. Okay. So what is disinvestment? It refers to an act of the organization or maybe the government of a state to raise funds by selling the ownership. So here the government raises the funds by selling the ownership. So in this question it says by privatization of ownership through sale of equity shares. Okay. So therefore here the answer is disinvestment. So why does this investment occur? It occurs as a decision of the government. Okay. So whenever a state government decides to transfer its ownership and the management to private hands, disinvestment occurs. Now what could be the reasons for disinvestment? It could be maybe a high cost of debt or ineffective management or any other political reasons. So the process of disinvestment, it mainly seeks to see that whatever resources are available, it's used to the optimum level of an undertaking to enhance the return on investment. It means that you use the resources that are available in the most optimum manner so that your return on investment can increase on that. Okay. So this is question number 12. Let's start with question number 13. Which among the following can be conditioned for the success of privatization? Options are barriers to enter the market, alternative institutional arrangement, measurability of performance, and all the above options. Okay. So here the right answer is barriers to enter into the market. First of all, let's know what you mean by privatization. Okay. So privatization basically aimed to give greater role to the private sector in the nation building process and reduce the role of public sector. So in simple words, it was a reversal of the development strategy that was being continued since so long. Okay. So to achieve this, the government had to redefine the role of public sector in the new industrial policy of 1991. So here the more emphasis was given to the private sectors rather than the public sector. Okay. Next is, which is not the essential feature of globalization? The government redefined the role of public sector, import liberalization, export promotion, and foreign exchange reforms. So here the right answer is A, because this feature belongs to privatization and not globalization. Next, for the protection of consumer rights, there is an act, and the act is Consumer Protection Act of 1986. Okay. So advertisements of cigarette carrying the statutory warning, this is because of which of the following? So whenever we see any advertisements on cigarettes, it said that selling cigarette to a person who is below the age of 18 is something that is not legal. Okay. So this comes under legal environment. Okay. Next is, how many features of new economic policy 1991? So there are in total how many features of the new economic policy 1991? We have to remember that there are in total 3 features. Next is, increased competition in the market will reduce the profit margin, increase tax, increase profit, increase the cost of production. So here the right answer is reduce the profit margin. Why? Because if I have, for example, if I have my store in one locality and I was the only one store there, it means I had a monopoly there. But then if I see that after some time another person started his own store into that same locality, now here what will happen? Now my customers will be divided, right? So in the past all the customers used to come only to my store. Now I can see that some of the customers are also visiting to the other store. So what has happened? My profit has reduced. So here the answer is reduced profit margin. Let's start with question number 19. What will be the effect of increase in tax by the government? Okay. So when the government will increase the tax, what will be the effect? First is increase in the cost of production. Second, creates fear in the mind of investor. Third, increases profit, and D, none of the above. So here the right answer is increase in the cost of production. So whenever the government increases the tax, it has a direct impact on the cost of production. So here the right answer is increase in cost of production. So when your cost of production increases, automatically your final selling price has to increase. Because if your cost of production increases, it means that a margin of your profit is being reduced. Okay. Question 20. Booking of railway tickets through internet from home or office is an example of technological environment. Why? Because with the use of technology, now you are just booking your railway or your airway tickets online. You do not have to physically go to the railway station in order to book your tickets. Okay. Only with your mobile handsets or laptop you can just do it by sitting at home or your office. Next is, advertisement of alcoholic beverages is prohibited. This is an example of again legal environment. Okay. Next, gross domestic product is concerned with which of the following? So first of all, we should know what do you mean by GDP. Okay. So we know that GDP or gross domestic product, it is the total number of goods and services that are being produced in a country in a particular year. So that is basically GDP. So we should know that if there is any country who has higher GDP, like higher the GDP, the better is the country progressing, and the lower the GDP, it means that country is not progressing that better. So GDP is the standard measure of the value added created to the production of goods and services in a country during a certain period. So here the right answer is economic environment. So moving on to the next question. Through environmental scanning, the business firms can enjoy which of the following? So through environmental scanning, the business firms can enjoy first mover advantages. So first of all, we should know what you mean by environmental scanning. Okay. So environmental scanning is a kind of tracking of different trends in an organization's internal and external environment. Okay, which can result in shaping the goals and strategies of the organization. Okay, so this is about environmental scanning. Environment basically comprises of both the factors, external and internal factors. So whenever we are taking any decision, we have to determine the impact that it can have on our business in the long run. Okay, so here the answer is first mover advantages. So let's start with question number 24. The trend of health and fitness has created a demand for products like gyms, bottled mineral water and food supplements, etc. These are the examples of which of the following? So here the right answer is social. So social environment, it means that it includes social forces like customs, traditions, values and society's expectations from a business. Okay. Like for example, when we have festivals like Diwali, Eid, Christmas and so on. So in a country like India, it provides a lot of financial opportunities to different companies. Like for example, to those companies who are into making greeting cards, who are into making sweets, or people who have their own sweets or confectionery manufacturings and so on, or even tailoring outlets for example. So here what happens is that in a country like India, where all the customs and all traditions are being followed, so the social environment comprises of all those things. Okay, and question number 25 is attitude of customers towards innovation, lifestyle, etc. is a part of which of the following? So here the right answer is technological. Okay, why? Because technological environment, it includes scientific improvements and innovations. Okay, which has given a new way of producing goods and services and new methods and techniques of starting the business. Okay, like we can see that for example in recent technological advances in computers and electronics, it has modified the ways in which the companies advertise their products. Okay, so technological environment has basically opened up the scope for innovation. Therefore, here the correct answer is environment. Okay, so these were some of the important multiple choice questions on this unit, that is business environment. It comprises of 7 marks. Okay, so this chapter is quite very I can say it's quite huge, and also it's a little trickier as compared to the other chapters to concentrate on. Okay, because there are certain terms that you really need to understand very well. Okay, whereas if you compare other chapters like planning, organizing, or maybe staffing and so on, then this chapter is comparatively difficult as compared to the others. Okay, it does not mean that you just leave this chapter, but I would say that please do not put all your focus on this chapter. If there are certain things that you cannot understand, then I feel that you should not waste your time behind only this one particular chapter. I would suggest that first you all cover all the remaining chapters and then come to business environment. Okay, this is my personal opinion. It may vary from that of yours. Okay, so in this chapter, it's important that you know the meaning of business environment. Then just read about all the features of business environment. The features include interrelatedness, dynamic nature, uncertainty, complexity and so on. Okay, after that you need to know about the dimensions of business environment. Remember that there are 5 dimensions of business environment: economic, legal, political, social and technological. Okay, after that you just need to know about the economic policies. Then you need to know about liberalization, privatization and globalization. Also just read about demonetization. Okay, so when was the first time that the government of India made an announcement on demonetization? It was on November 8, 2016. Okay, you have to remember the date, November 8, 2016. Okay, and what had happened was 2 largest denomination notes, that was rupees 500 and 1000, they were demonetized with immediate effect. And then the note of rupees 2000 was introduced and so on. Okay, so I think in this chapter you just need to concentrate on these things, as these are important according to me. So if you all found this session informative, then please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Also, if there are any queries or suggestions, then please put it down in the comment section. Thank you.